Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Katie Gideon, and I will be your on-camera facilitator. I am calling in from Edinburgh, Scotland. I just recently relocated from Texas to here for work, so super excited to join you guys today to set up our weekly. And I am super excited that Karen is going to be joining me as the co-facilitator in the chat. I feel like she is Miss Queen of No Sunday Scaries. So super excited to have her here. This is our first event in a while. So super excited. But let us know if you are first time person coming to one of these weeklies, or maybe first time joining a social, first time to a weekly social. We love to see all of our newcomers, but I'm already seeing some names that I recognize. So as always, welcome back to our returning socialers. So great to see all of you. This is a really great opportunity to share some of your tips and tricks with each other, with us, as we set up our week. And we are setting up week 41, which is the second week of October, which I can't believe how fast this year has gone so far. But as always, you can join us in the chat. Make sure you set it to everyone. Zoom will default to host and panelists. So if you have any specific questions for me or Karen, you can use the host and panelists option. But to get feedback from the rest of your Sonder family, you can use everyone. So we are still diving into this month's theme of perseverance, which I feel like is a really good transition from flourish to perseverance, especially as we hit kind of those dreary, kind of gloomy, wintry kind of fall vibes as you start to get, it gets a little darker. So I feel like you got to keep reminding yourself the sun is going to be out there. It's going to stop raining. It's going to get warmer, kind of all of those things. You can't tell I'm kind of a summer gal. But I am a big fan of perseverance. I feel like this is one of those themes that I just latch on. It's built into the core values that I have. I feel like I've been knocked down a few times. I've gone on many detours. I've had a lot of journeys, trials, tribulations, all of those things. And again, not here to compare it with everyone, but it's more of like, I know what I bring to the table. And I love being able to dive in and challenge myself, especially when it comes to perseverance. But I also feel like this is one of those themes you either love it or you really want nothing to do with it. There are no kind of like middle ground feelings about perseverance. And I do love those type of themes because I feel like it's got all of the potential for some sort of growth. But as always, you can kind of approach it however you want, however you need, whatever you need to in your journey. There is no right or wrong answers. We are just excited that you are taking this journey with us and that you are using this time, the next hour, to use what you need to do to set up your week. So if you want to join us in the chat, great. If you want to mute the chat, also great. If you want to mute me or mute the music, also great. You are here for you. You've set this time aside. So make sure you use it for how you want to. And then we'll move into kind of some of our additional community guidelines. As always, be kind and courteous to yourself as well as others. No promotions or spam. Please respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. Limit repetitive product and accessory questions. We have an amazing headquarters team, and we can provide the email address to them so that you can contact them and let us know if you continue to have others issues. We can pass that along. And as always, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions and your own reactions. So if you have to kind of mentally set up some of those barriers of today I want to accomplish this, today I want to tackle this, or if something gets just a little bit too deep, you don't have to talk about it. You don't have to address it. You can write it down, take a picture, take a note, and come back to it when you are mentally and emotionally or even physically ready to tackle it. This is one of those, there are no right or wrong answers. There are no right or wrong ways to journal. We are just glad you're here. We're glad that you're setting aside this time for you, and we can't wait to get started. So for our agenda, we're going to do the Perseverance Mind Map, which is a weekly setup staple. We're going to do a Rosebud Thorn, which is an opportunity to reflect on the previous week. And then we'll move into those weekly setup pages. And so let's go ahead and get started with the Perseverance Mind Map. So this has become a really amazing trend that was started probably about a year or so ago. And it was where we have the opportunity to embrace the theme of the month each week at the weekly setups, but focusing on a specific concept or aspect of it. So with October being kind of a longer one, and just the way those kind of chips fell for the weekends, we have 5 opportunities to connect to this month's theme on a weekly basis. And if you missed last week, don't worry. I include week 1 as well as the new week 2. But if you haven't already set up your mind map, you can turn to a blank page in your journal, or you can find a blank spot kind of on the weekly spread. I know sometimes people will use the weekly to-do box, the shopping list, and then we have the opportunity to do that. No, we usually don't put the prompts for the mind map anywhere else. You'll sometimes see them in the group in the app where someone has posted the answers, but you can always go back to the YouTube channel to look if you've missed any of those. And so without further ado, Perseverance, here's our great mind map, which we love. I mean, I love the visual. I'm a sucker for anything ocean, maritime. I certainly connect to the perseverance of trying to find that, X marks the spot, make the treasure, as well as setting off on some of those kind of maritime adventures. So for week 2, we are focusing on what does perseverance mean to you? And again, if you missed week 1 was how can perseverance help you flourish? That was the question that we asked and gave yourselves the opportunity to deep dive into that. And now for week 2, we are asking the question, what does perseverance mean to you? So here's my example. For me, perseverance kind of meant with me, I went back to the original definition for some inspiration. You can always describe what perseverance looks like either in a person or a situation. You can use quotes or affirmations, kind of a deeper dive into the reflection of perseverance. You can always use synonyms of perseverance. Last week, I kind of really tapped into tenacity, moxie, grit. Big grit fan. But as always, there are no right or wrong answers here. Just find a way that you can connect to the meaning of perseverance. So for me in particular, I've always been told to fail spectacularly. If you fail spectacularly, someone can come in and help you learn from the mistakes that you made. They can pinpoint exactly where you went wrong so that you can recalibrate, rechange, readjust. I also have a scientific background, so I know hypotheses are going to be wrong all the time. You just have to tweak some of those variables to get the results that you want. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to get everything right 100% of the time. So when I failed spectacularly, it was the challenge to find the excitement in trying again. So that's where I feel like optimism and mentality certainly have a role to play there. But again, those were just my thoughts on what perseverance is, but I would love to hear, what does perseverance mean to you? If you were just joining us, we've just started our mind map exercise. I'm going to give you guys some time to work on that, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved everything that was shared. You guys are so inspirational in some of those things. And it looks like not only do we have the kind of really great mantras with the just keep swimming, putting one foot in front of the other, but it looks like there are quite a few that have kind of embodied the concept of perseverance as you went through something that was challenging. Medical news sounds like issues with those type of things. So thank you for sharing. Another really interesting and kind of motivational quote that was shared in a previous event was the concept of push, which was perseverance until something happens, which again, I love a good, kind of alliteration and those type of things. So I thought push was a really great idea because not only is it the kind of physical representation of perseverance, but the fact that it can be used for perseverance until something happens, I think is a great, and again, yeah, push through that kind of concept. So if you didn't quite come up with anything, don't worry. You have the opportunity to reflect on this question through the rest of the week, which is again why I'm a big fan of these mind maps now. So with that being said, we are going to move to the rosebud thorn idea, which please join us on page 36 in your October journal, the rosebud thorn at the end of the previous week. This is a really good opportunity to celebrate the wins, celebrate the things that went well, acknowledge and or get excited about something that is coming up, or prepare for what's coming up because you haven't quite figured out if it's going to be a win, or acknowledge the challenge, because I feel like that's life in general. You've got the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs, so the opportunity to celebrate with the Sonder fan, but also ask for that support if you need it when you hit some of those challenging thorns. So for me, a rose this week is my sister and her husband are coming to visit. So they'll be here a couple days. And I really love hosting my sister. She's 4 years younger. And we just have this great we fall into this really great relationship where we've had our ups and our downs, but we certainly love exploring cities together, going on vacations together, being tourists together. I feel like that's us in our element, and that is us in our best form. For a bud, I did move over here for work, so I got some really good feedback from my kind of new bosses and kind of those ideas. So exciting that this is where I need to be when I need to be here with kind of the products that I do. So it wasn't for nothing, but we'll still kind of TBD there. And then as always, Thorn, I am learning the amenities and utilities of the UK. I pride myself in being a really, proficient chef cook. I know Karen also is an amazing one as well, but the oven absolutely kicked me down. I have not burnt anything this, again, spectacularly in a really long time. So Thorn challenges again, oven. I will master the oven. I've declared war on the oven. They have won the first battle, but I will win in the end. So as always, share your rosebud thorn in the chat because we want to celebrate those wins, provide the support as needed, and then just be here. So we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved seeing the celebration of your individual wins as well as the wins of your family that you're able to support. Definitely sending extra hug and support for those that are struggling with kind of some unknown medical conditions, relatives that aren't quite accounted for yet. So we know that again, each week is going to have ups, each week's are going to have downs. As time I put, she feel like she's wearing a crown of thorns. So we know that we've got those kind of rough times, low times, but the opportunity to kind of celebrate them all in kind of one exercise, I feel like is a really valuable tool, because then we can use some of those wins to kind of propel us through to the next week, some of those buds as the opportunity to do so. But then again, realizing that if we've got kind of some thorns going on, the opportunity to kind of start the week anew, start each week fresh, I think is always a good, really kind of optimistic spin. But there are definitely times where it's going to be, as you say, you got to keep on keeping on. But thank you everyone for sharing. Love when everybody gets kind of vulnerable and certainly deep in these type of things, because we are here to support one another, celebrate, as well as provide what is needed. So thank you for sharing. So now we are again going to stay in our October journal for the weekly planner. The first page, please turn to page 40, and we will go ahead and start with the weekly planner component. So as always, this is one of those, if you want to use it in the traditional sense, we're going to give some ideas, but just because it is something that someone else does or something that I suggest, there is no right or wrong way to set up your weekly planner. You need to do what works for you, and definitely give yourself a little bit of grace. If you haven't quite figured out what that looks like, it certainly takes some time, but at the end of the day, this should not be negative, shouldn't make you feel upset. This should just be another tool to enhance that journey. So we're going to start at the top of page 40 with this week I want to feel. The way that I approach this is, this time next week, this is how I want to feel. So this is going to be the word or the mantra or the description of words of how I am going to, if I have kind of a low point or if I need some extra motivation, I can kind of come to this point, and this is going to be the overall ideas. This is how I want to feel at the end of the week. And then I can use some of all the other pieces in the weekly spread to kind of help propel me to that. So I love all the examples that people have provided. I think the concept of I want to feel more of something and less of something was a really great approach, because it doesn't have to be a single word. It can be a word with kind of a quote or some extra motivation. And then I also love the simplicity of, the elegance and simplicity with the, I just want to feel 1% better, or I just want to feel good. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think on this. Share those words that you want to feel this time next week. Thank you everyone for sharing. You guys have some really deep motivation to get you through the week this week. I loved seeing it. You guys are very inspiring. I love Tammy's with the more thriving, not just surviving, resilient, refreshed, centered, focused, capable, healthy, joyful. All of these are great. Proud of myself. What I still love about this is even with whatever highs and lows you had last week, there is still that kind of optimism of how you want to embrace the next week. And so the fact that we get to start over and kind of start again, I think is really great. So we're going to kind of build that optimism with us of, again, framing around this is how I want to feel this time next week. And so now we can piece together some of those things to help us get to that feeling by the end of the week. So next section, which is right below it, is the weekly 3 major goals. Again, it doesn't have to be 3 major goals. It could be 2, it could be 1, it could be 4, whatever you need. You could repurpose these with quotes, things that you can get excited about. It can also be the ever traditional bingo board. You can also break it up into categories with a goal for work, a goal for body, a goal for your mind, or if you have a family, you can incorporate family. This can also be a reflective deep dive into how you feel about perseverance. But the approach I usually take with this is what are the mental and emotional reminders I need to help me feel what I want to feel by the end of the week? And sometimes that is excuse yourself from the unimportant, stay hydrated, movement. And so a lot of the great examples here, but at the end of the day, if it's just maybe some motivational stickers or just some fun stickers or general, or again, if it's more of like, I need to accomplish these large tasks so that I can feel whatever I want to feel by the end of the week, then that is exactly what can be used here. But again, the way I approach this and connect it to it is what are the mental and emotional reminders I need to tell myself based on what my week is going to look like. So I will give you guys a moment, share with us how you either approach with your major 3 goals or what are your 3 major goals you want to accomplish this week. Thank you everyone for sharing. Congrats, Marty, with that being kind of synchronizing all the feelings. I love when those kind of magical connections kind of come together. And I think that's kind of part of this whole exploration is how, you can look at them as individual pieces, or there can be times where that connection is really going to be what's going to propel you through the week. But the flexibility that you have here, I think, is really great. So thank you, everyone, for sharing. So we are still going to stay on page 40. And now we're going to move just to the left for our weekly to-dos. So this can be absolutely a traditional weekly to-do list. These are all the tasks that you need to do kind of under that umbrella of the mental and emotional reminders. And again, maybe these are the practical pieces that are going to help us feel what we need to feel by this time next week. So there are definitely a couple different approaches. You can do the to-do list, you can do a to-do list. I'm a fan of the to-do list because, like I said, I feel like mentality for me is everything. So the difference between the to-do and the to-do is obviously the celebration afterwards. So again, it's the to-dos that I need to turn into the to-do so I can celebrate, and I'm motivated that way. There is also a really great operational tool called the Eisenhower Matrix that's in the top right corner with the do, decide, delegate, and delete. You can certainly change a lot of these to tailor what works for you. One of our other facilitators, Maya, has the Eat the Frog list. So these are things that you don't really want to do, but you have to do. And then I've also become a fan of the Pomodoro technique, where you basically pick a task, you set a timer. Once that timer goes off, you can take a break from that task, and each small one that you can then do, by the end of the day, all of your tasks are broken down into small Pomodoros. And I think that's also, again, a fun approach. I know it certainly works with those folks that kind of have trouble with focusing on those type of things, but I think it's a really great opportunity. But at the same time, if you don't have a to-do list or a to-do list or any of those things, you can use those great motivational stickers for a super fun kind of fall vibe. We also have the very much fun bingo boards. Again, another great place to put here. You can also put your mind map reflection here. We're also a big fan of doodles that kind of go with that. I love an iconography for what you need for there. And then I saw a great example in the Silk and Sonder app, which was the need to and the want to. And then sometimes there are days where I feel like I just need to settle into my kind of pessimism when my optimism isn't quite where it needs to be because it's still, sleeping or it's cold outside. It didn't want to get out of bed. And so embracing the not to-do list, I think, is a really great idea to kind of stew in some of those feelings till I'm ready to kind of, turn on my optimism and get going forward. So let us know if you repurpose this section, or what do you need to accomplish this week under that kind of mental and emotional umbrella of your weekly 3 major goals to then get to how you want to feel by this time next week. Thank you everyone for sharing. I always like the conversation around Eisenhower matrix, especially for those that do live alone. I am one of those folks when it comes to delegate, can't delegate anything. My dog is not a very good housekeeper either. So it was more of, I kind of tried to realize ways that I could utilize delegate. So there were a couple times where myself and my neighbors were both walking to throw away trash and they offered to take it for me. And, being little Miss Independent, I can obviously do it myself, but the offer and the opportunity and taking them up on it. So I feel like I've had to, ask for help a little bit more. But again, you're not going to always need to use all four of these components there. But again, I think it's more of just the kind of acknowledgement that you have the opportunities to do these. And it's even something as simple as a coworker offering to, throw something away for you because they're getting up to do it. So I feel like, again, each of these can work in their own unique way. And I feel like you can always try a couple different ways of doing it, different versions, but definitely use whatever works for you. And if, again, it's more of a traditional list or some of these other kind of helpful tools and techniques, that's why we're here, to share all of those tips and tricks. So we are now going to stay again on page 40, but we're moving to that bottom section, which is the habit and activity tracker. And so this is a little bit different from the monthly tracker because those are things you want to do every day. The way I approach the habit and activity tracker is I add the things that I want to do every day from my monthly tracker, but I add the lens of reality. And so that's where, I want to move every day, but I'm going to kind of alter how I'm going to move each day, because if it's raining, I don't like to work out in the rain. So maybe I do something inside for those type of movements. Same thing with, I want to read. Maybe I want to read for a set amount of time, or maybe I want to get a couple chapters done. So I tailor it to the reality of what can I realistically expect to be productive and set myself up for success. And so there are, again, some really good ideas. Someone is tracking the habits or activities they want to stop. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, I think, is really great. You want to do something 5 times, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, 1 time. Or if you're wanting to focus on a specific activity, kind of around maybe a getting ready for work or a nighttime routine or a morning routine, and you can kind of pick which days you're going to be able to realistically do those. Those are a couple examples here of, these are the specific days they're going to accomplish that. And at the end of the day, you don't have to have all 5 activities or habits. Maybe you have 3, maybe you have 2, maybe you just don't have the patience that week to track anything, so you leave this blank. All of these are great. All of these are perfect. And this is exactly what you need to do to get you through the week. Same thing with the yay activity with something fun that you were able to do, as well as you don't always have to have a specific goal here. Maybe these are just things you want to do, things that you want to acknowledge. And then I always like to challenge everyone to include something fun or something kind of a little spontaneous. Maybe it's a, dance like nobody's watching, carpool karaoke style, sing, make a new playlist, something as simple as paying compliments, do something for someone else. Any of those things I think are really fun, as just another kind of activity you can use to get excited about. But these are also kind of things that you want to do to accomplish how you want to feel this time next week. So let us know what kind of habits and activities are you tracking. And then, as always, I've provided a couple other fun ideas. One, Karen and I were talking about how really fun these photos are. They look really pretty. They're from a couple different Instagram accounts. So if you need a couple kind of fall related inspiration for a habit or activity, please use these. But let us know what habits and activities you are working on, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Love seeing that someone is using the 5 4 3 2 1 approach, but then I also saw some commonality with the I need some kind of simplistic goals, work on the basics, work on routines, where someone said they had I think it was Stephanie that said she's got a really busy weekend coming up. So we're keeping it to just the 3 things. And that's what, again, I love about these type of things. This shouldn't be another tracker that you dread or that, provides negative thoughts or gets you upset about something. This should be something that you're setting yourself up for success. And sometimes that is accepting that life happens. And so you got to kind of adjust. But if you find something that works, you're able to propel it each week and carry it over. I definitely fall into the creature of habit type mentality. So anytime I find something that works, that I just really get in my groove and I feel really productive, that is absolutely an activity that's going to go on there just so I can have a win. Because again, mentality and celebration is always kind of a key part to how I get through my week. So again, thank you everyone for sharing. Now we're going to flip the page. So we are going to be on page 41. So this is the second page of the weekly setup, and this is the meal planner. And so the meal planner is one of those that I feel like is definitely repurposed a lot. It's a great template. But honestly, for this page in general, for me, I refer to it lovingly as my B-side when you listen to music and records. A side, that's the first page. I use that diligently all the time. That's my favorite. That's my go-to. And then when I get to the second page, there are some really amazing gems when I need it because they're great templates, they're great formats, but I do not force myself to unnecessarily fill this out because I feel like it's been blank more often than not, and I'm okay with that. But it took me a really long time to get to that point because, like I said, there is magic in these sections when it works with what you need and when you need to be there. But at the same time, I've given myself permission to only use it when I need it. So that's why, again, I refer to it as the B side. So here's some really great repurposing with workouts. There are folks that definitely use this as a meal planner, or you can use this as a real-time intake tracker if you're trying to do symptoms or, what type of triggering things are there, or a relationship with whatever kind of health journey you're on. This can also be a place where you can put appointments, the Sonder Social events. It can also be kind of a big 4 idea where someone is tracking what exercise they did, the meditation that they did, what book they read, what they're having for dinner. Someone is tracking their vegetable and protein intake. Again, you've got all sorts of modifications when it comes to a health tracker. And then I always am a complete sucker for that kind of deep dive into that journal reflection. So someone has used this as a reflection, either kind of thoughts during the day of just kind of what they want to do for that day. I've also used it to write prompts, and then I carry that over into the weekly spread, which are the follow-on pages. So I got a little bit of room for my chunky handwriting so that I can deep dive a little bit more into kind of what I want. Some of those self-reflections dive into the theme of the word, but would certainly love to hear how everybody here repurposes your meal plans if they don't repurpose them at all. Love to see the tradition with the meal plans, but there are really great ideas here. So let us know how you use yours. I'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. And Lori definitely says it best. You guys have such great ideas. There's so much inspiration here. I am definitely like I said, I'm a sucker for the journal prompts and the reflection. So I love that folks are using this as a, kind of reflection tool. I am also one of those when I was seeing therapists, I had to write down something good that I did each day, which was very hard because I wanted to dwell on all the like negatives. So the opportunity to find those wins and those roses each day and stare at those, I think is a really great tool, especially if you find it just a little tricky to kind of come up with those roses at the end of the week. But again, thank you everyone for sharing. This really is a great template. I loved Monica's take on it as well, is that her first page of the weekly setup is the things that she needs to do. Second page are the things that are planned, which is definitely an extremely far more elegant way of describing the relationship with the 2 pages. And then as always, again, these are great templates. So the opportunity for them to just turn and morph into whatever you need that week, I think is great. As you can see, a lot of folks take out that washi tape, cover everything up, you track what you need to do when you need to do it. I saw that someone was tracking and kind of they needed to build their relationship with food. So they were really tracking some of those. So I think that is always great. And again, we are now going to stay on page 41, moving into the other, I feel like, section that gets repurposed a lot, which is that mind body health plan. And again, the magic is, again, I love a good template. So what I also like is how well the mind body health plan and the meal plan can work together to help you accomplish some of those goals. So not only can you treat it with that kind of alliteration, but here's another opportunity to put in some of those weekly check-in kind of response. Also a fan of the kind of T-chart with the I feel and the I need, or asking yourself those type of reflection questions. The one at the middle and the bottom is how did I care for myself? Being able to see that each week. And then again, I love the complete restructuring and repurposing. The one in the top right is these are the things that I'm going to do for my mind body health each week, and here are the days that I'm going to do it. As always, this is a kind of a great spot to acknowledge maybe some of the 7 types of rest that you need. There's a really great quiz that Karen's going to pop in there because I feel like not everything is just a physical rest. Sometimes it is social, spiritual, mental, creative, emotional, or sensory, and you can certainly focus on those for your mind body health plan, or you can use it as a reading log. You can have kind of motivation me Mondays, tranquility Tuesdays with some of those fun alliterations. But again, let us know how you repurpose this section. Do you put, maybe this is where your dinner plans live, maybe this is where some of those appointments are, or do you again use this as a different reflection, or do you just cover it up with a big old sticker? We definitely want to hear it, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved seeing all of your approaches to this. I always see this as another one of those that you can either plan for something, which some people are embracing the kind of alliteration theme. And then there are others that again use it kind of again as that real time. They were going to use it to reflect on the meditation. Some were going to listen to music and have spa days. Again, I think those are all really great. And then Missy is using hers for creative things that you're working on so you can keep moving forward with those hobbies and extra craft projects. So again, all great uses. And again, this is another fun one that if you repurpose, so please share your repurposing ideas in the Sonder Club so that we can continue to share them in the socials as well as with our community over there. And now we're moving into the shopping list, which again, another great blank square that has all the potential. This one I think is really fun because it can be used as that traditional shopping list, or it is another place where maybe you need to focus on a routine. Someone in the top left did a morning routine. I am a big fan of the boring stuff bingo. Great mental approach to getting the kind of not so fun things done. You can also use it for mindfulness activities, your prayer list. It can be where your mind map is. And then I've also just included some other fun. I know a couple of our facilitators has used this as a buy, don't buy area where you kind of write it down, see if it's something you really need. But then someone kind of took it again to that next step with the don't buy this week and you need to buy this week. And again, I am just excited about just kind of the spooky season and getting excited for the holidays because I feel like this is that start of that holiday marathon till you get to the end of the year. And I love some good, clever puns. And as I said, cute little iconography. So, as always, if you need to exercise your demons, let go of what's holding you back. Stay hydrated. These are fun reminders because you can also put that into maybe a spooky bingo board here, or you can pull some of these ideas to the bingo board that is on its own page in this journal. There are no right or wrong answers here, so let us know how you repurpose this shopping list, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved that this is used again as a very repurposed kind of creative space. Um, what I thought was really clever, someone in a previous social, as we were trying to connect the entire week of how they want to feel, this time next week, a particular way, they actually created a bar graph of how close they were to feeling that word of the day each day for that week. And I thought that was a really beautiful, kind of elegant full circle moment of how you can kind of close out your week across all of the pages. But definitely there are no right or wrong ways of doing this. I see people use it to track steps, journal steps, as well as affirmations. And then Crystal, I love that you are being very vulnerable and acknowledging that sometimes you disappear. We are glad that you're here. We're glad that you find this space safe to kind of acknowledge that. We're here to support you, because I feel like there are definitely people out there with that type of feeling, those type of emotions. But the fact that you can openly see it as we break away from perfection on the page is a really amazing way to do it. So thank you again. Can you believe that we are at the end? We appreciate everyone joining us. I feel like it goes by so fast. Karen is going to put in the chat, or you can use the QR codes here, with the annual subscription, refer a friend. We're also going to include that YouTube link if you showed up late, had to leave early, or if you just need a day where you need a social. These are all here. I will also include my playlist and a link in the chat. It'll also be on the next slide. But thank you, everyone. Again, no Sunday scaries here. You guys are going to have a fantastic week, and we will see you next week at the next social. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon. Spread a little happiness, spread a little bit of happiness. Spread a little happiness, spread a little bit of happiness. It ain't hard to see all that's going wrong. I know it's far too easy now to sing a sad song. To sing a sad song. Yeah. Lying on the ground never help no one. When you get knocked down, you know that you gotta get back up. Gotta get back up. Oh, we gotta look on the bright side. There's never been a better time to spread a little happiness, spread a little love. It only takes a little bit, but it'll be enough. When the world is cool, turn your gray skies blue. Baby, it's up to me and you to spread a little happiness. Spread a little happiness. When the water's right, then there's no dry land. And your brother cries for you to lend a helping hand. Oh, lend a helping hand, yeah.